something for the very first time. Maybe learning a new dance, tasting an unfamiliar dish, or simply taking a walk down a street you've never been on before. When we were young, curiosity was like breathing. But once we reach our 50s or 60s, many people start to think, "I'm too old. There's nothing left to learn or try." I once had a patient, Mary, who was 72. She came to see me because her memory was slipping. She said, "Doctor, I forget things all the time. I'm afraid I might be sliding into dementia." But then I realized her life was the same every single day. Morning coffee, a sandwich at lunch, TV in the afternoon, bed at night. No new books, no new friends, no new experiences. Her brain, like a machine, was starving from lack of stimulation. So I suggested she try watercolor painting. She laughed at first and said, "I can't even draw a straight line." But she gave it a shot. 6 months later, she returned with a notebook full of flowers and landscapes. She told me her memory had improved, and she felt young again. That's the power of curiosity. Have you ever felt that way? When you start something new, your heart beats faster, your eyes light up, your whole body feels alive. That's not just in your head. Science shows that whenever we learn something new, our brains build fresh neural connections, like bridges between brain cells. These bridges make us more flexible and reduce the risk of cognitive decline. But curiosity doesn't have to mean studying science or mastering a complicated skill. It can be as simple as changing your routine. I know an older gentleman in Japan who takes a slightly different walking route through the park each morning. He told me, "Just seeing different houses and trees makes me feel like I'm traveling." That small change, day after day, keeps his mind fresh. Along with curiosity, there's something just as important: joy. Think back. When was the last time you laughed out loud? Maybe when your grandchild told you a silly story, or while watching an old comedy. Laughter doesn't just lighten the heart, it releases happy hormones like endorphins and serotonin. They act like a natural shield for your body, helping you fight illness, stress, and even physical pain. I'll never forget Robert, a 68-year-old with chronic arthritis. His pain was constant, and medication only helped a little. Then he joined a local theater group, where they practiced comedy skits and improv. He laughed so much he could hardly believe it himself. After a few months, he came back and said, "Doctor, the pain isn't gone, but I notice it less. I'm too busy living and laughing." That's when I realized medicine alone isn't enough. We also need emotional medicine: curiosity, joy, laughter, the things that make life worth living. You might be thinking, "Doctor, I'm too old for all that. I don't have the energy to learn or laugh like a kid anymore." But please remember, age is not a barrier. I've seen people in their 70s learn piano, practice yoga, or travel across the world. And I've met others in their 50s who already seem retired in spirit, having lost their sense of joy long ago. Imagine waking up each morning not with the thought, "Just another day," but instead, "What new thing will I learn today? Who will I share a laugh with?" Just by asking yourself different questions, every day starts to feel different. Maybe you pick up a book you never thought you'd read, or learn a few words of Japanese, my native language, or even just call an old friend you haven't spoken to in years. Small things, but together they feed your brain, your heart, and even your immune system. I often tell my patients, living long isn't as important as living well. And the secret to living well is curiosity and joy. As long as your mind still wants to explore and your heart can still be moved, age is just a number. So today, are you ready to try something new? Maybe plant a flower, jot down a journal entry, or play a piece of music and let yourself dance. I believe that once you start, your body and your mind will thank you. And remember, you are never too old to be curious. It's curiosity and laughter that will keep your spirit young, no matter what your birth certificate. Do you remember the last time you left the table feeling satisfied, not stuffed? In Japan, especially in Okinawa, where so many people live past 100, there's a unique eating philosophy called Hara-Hachi-Bu. It means, eat until you're about 80% full, then stop. I remember meeting a 96-year-old woman in Okinawa. Every morning she still walked to the market, her back a little stooped, but her smile bright and full of life. When I asked her secret, she just smiled and said, "I've never eaten until I was too full. When I still feel a little hungry, that's when I know I've had enough." Something so small can completely change our health. In America, many of my patients over 50 struggle with weight gain, diabetes, or high blood pressure. When I look deeper, I often find a common pattern. They eat until they're uncomfortably full, sometimes out of habit, sometimes because they don't want to waste food. But the truth is, our bodies don't need that much. Think of your stomach like an old-fashioned music box. If you pack too much inside, the melody becomes distorted and unpleasant. But if you leave just enough space, the tune is clear and beautiful. Our bodies work the same way. By stopping at 80% full, you give your digestive system room to do its job, and you activate the body's natural healing process, what scientists call autophagy, the cell cleanup system. I had a patient, James, 65 years old, who loved barbecue. He often ate so much he had to loosen his belt after dinner. When I suggested Hara-Hachi-Bu, he laughed, "Doctor, if I eat less, how will I survive?" But he agreed to try, just by using a smaller plate and eating more slowly. 6 months later, he came back 15 pounds lighter, with more stable blood sugar. And what made me happiest was when he said, "Doctor, I realized I had never truly tasted my food until I slowed down and stopped at the right moment." That's the point of Hara-Hachi-Bu. It's not about starving yourself, it's about eating wisely, with respect for your body. By eating slowly, you learn to listen to your stomach. You begin to recognize the signal that says, "Enough." And when you stop at 80%, you're not depriving yourself. You're giving yourself a gift: lightness, comfort, and the chance for your body to heal itself. You may ask, but how do I know when I'm at 80%? The answer is simple. Slow down. Put down your fork between bites. Chew thoroughly. Pay attention to how your stomach feels. When you're satisfied but could still keep eating, that's 80%. Have you ever felt that heavy discomfort after a late dinner, lying in bed with your stomach tossing and turning, unable to sleep well? That's why in Okinawa, dinner is usually early and light. It gives the body the whole night to digest, rest, and repair. That's one reason they're so healthy and live so long. So here's a small habit you can try tonight. At dinner, take just a little less and stop before you feel too full. Tomorrow morning, notice how much lighter you feel, how much better you sleep, and how your energy slowly begins to return. Getting older doesn't mean we have to accept sickness and fatigue. Sometimes, just one small change in how we eat and live can open the door to a healthier, calmer, more vibrant old age. So, are you ready to try Hara-Hachi-Bu, eating until you're 80% full, and feel the difference for yourself this week? Have you ever noticed that sometimes, when you don't feed your body, that's when it actually does its best healing? In Japan, generations ago, people didn't eat as many meals as we do today. They often had an early dinner and a late breakfast the next morning. Without realizing it, they were giving their bodies a long break. Today, science calls this intermittent fasting. I remember one of my patients, Linda, age 63. She came into my office and said, "Doctor, I've been dieting forever, but my weight won't go down and my blood sugar is still high. Maybe I'm just too old to change." I suggested something simple. Instead of eating a late dinner, She would eat earlier in the evening and delay breakfast until around 10 a.m. That gave her about a 14-hour window with nothing but water or tea. At first, she struggled. She was used to snacking before bed, but after just 2 weeks, she called me, her voice full of excitement. "I'm sleeping better. My stomach feels lighter. And strangely enough, I don't crave sweets anymore." 3 months later, she had lost weight. Her blood sugar was steadier, and the best part, she told me, "Doctor, it feels like my body is finally working with me, not against me." I often ask people to picture the body as a factory. If we keep throwing in raw materials all day, breakfast, snacks, lunch, coffee, dinner, dessert, the factory never gets a break. It's always busy, always overloaded. But when you give it a rest, 12 to 16 hours, the workers inside finally have time to clean, repair, and replace old machinery. That's autophagy, your body's way of recycling damaged cells and replacing them with healthy ones. Have you ever woken up in the morning feeling foggy, heavy, and wanting to stay in bed? Often, it's because of a late-night meal that your body was still struggling to digest. But when you eat earlier or leave your stomach resting longer, the next morning feels completely different, lighter, clearer, and full of energy. In Okinawa, I met people in their 90s who still woke up early to practice gentle exercises with sharp minds and vibrant energy. They didn't call it intermittent fasting. For them, it was just normal life. Eat dinner early, keep it light, and no late-night snacks. That simple habit has been one of their secrets to longevity. Many Americans ask me, "Doctor, isn't intermittent fasting just starving yourself?" I smile and say, "No, it's not about suffering. It's the art of creating pauses. Just like music, without the rests, a song would be nothing but noise. The body works the same way. Those pauses are when the melody of healing begins. Of course, intermittent fasting isn't for everyone. If you have certain medical conditions, like advanced diabetes, or you're on medication, you need medical guidance. But for most healthy people over 50, this can be a simple, powerful gift to your body. So here's a small experiment to try tonight. Eat dinner a little earlier, then nothing else until morning. Just water or herbal tea. Then tomorrow, notice how your body feels. If you continue this habit, your body will thank you with clarity, lightness, and long-lasting health. So, are you ready to give your body a pause so it can do its amazing